What?
So I was literally about to go back and say, wait, is Todoroki in this episode? The Derek like, so Todoroki is not nowhere even in this episode.
Who is nowhere near this episode?
Shoto Todoroki.
Did it got done quickly? Well, I mean, yeah, Bakugo beat them in, like, it sounds like pretty much record time, less than 5 minutes. Came in charging, guns blazing like he always does. And it was almost because he was predictable that it threw them off. So it was like, because he was predictable, they won, like, which is really sort of a weird way of playing it. But, I mean, he did what they thought he was going to do, and then he twisted the whole thing and kicked the crap out of it.
He didn't. They when he first came in there, yeah, they were expecting him to go in there to be the center of the group, but like what threw them for a loop was that he was cooperating. I mean, it sounds like you probably don't think he was cooperating, but like this was probably the most cooperation in a group that he's ever done, essentially making him the center of a cooperative unit. And like I like the concept. I mean, it's simple. It was simple, but it still worked out, which is like, I save you, you save me, and it worked out really well for a character who they constantly have said throughout the entirety of the show was very hard to work with.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't mean he was predictable through the whole thing, but the initial move was exactly what they would have expected, and then they like fed right into it. He didn't even really explain to his team what they were going to do, and then they were like, "Oh, he's just having his big ego," and it was like what everybody expected. And then he gave it a twist and said, "Like, no, we're actually like heavily supporting each other. It's just I've broken us into 2 units." So in his like sort of roundabout way, he was actually extremely good in this episode. He just was the only one that he knew he was good.
I don't know. I think everybody played a really important part. I see what you're going for, but it's like, I just feel like this is probably. I mean, yeah, there wasn't too much growth, but I think it was more growth than we could get from him with the way his attitude is, which I've already stated videos ago that I really don't want Bakugo's attitude to really change because it would fundamentally change how the character is or how the character works. There's no way you could make him nice and still have him as a character work. So I mean, you could make the argument with Vegeta, but they kind of had to change Vegeta as fundamentally as a character for him to work
They didn't
out as well as
change
he
him,
did.
they just developed him. Like, the changes were all very, very slow. They just didn't make him a boring vanilla character that like did nothing but the same thing the entire series.
I still kind of feel like you would have to I think you would have to break Bakugo as a character, and I like Bakugo the way he is. Some people would argue against it, but I don't know. I just don't think you could change.
What do you like about it?
I mean, I just like the fact that even though like people have his view of him, he's not letting that affect him. He's got a goal in mind. He's willing to take a lot of like the hate that he has gotten and still prove to them that I am just as good as you or even better. I mean, even in this group, every person in here, they mentioned some time ago that Bakugo and Deku have a strange effect on people that are around them. I think this was a perfect example of Bakugo's really strange effect. For that reason, he gave every single person in that group of his like the confidence to win. He literally said he was going to go 4-0 with no injuries, and he did exactly that. Granted, he did lose his gauntlets because of that welder dude, but I mean, at the same token, like that whole concept of you save me, I save you, really worked out in the long run for him because he suspected that they were probably, in a really weird way, I think he suspected they were going to be wary of him and try to have a counter to him. So I felt like he just said that I'm going to go in because they're going to be wary of me to begin with. There's no point in trying to let them get a plan up, because if they do, there's gonna be a problem.
It was more like you save me and I'll save the day. But yeah.
No, they helped him out. I mean, like, the hat stuff that happened, he wouldn't be able to get around. He needed help just to find them.
Yeah. I don't know.
I feel like they all worked as a cohesive unit. I mean, yeah, like I keep on saying, like, Bakugo was the center of that unit, but that was still a really cohesive unit, more cohesive than I was expecting.
Yeah, me too. It seemed like kind of a weak group at first, but he pulled it off really well. But I do think that, like, I don't know, he, like, he pulled it off pretty well, but like he was also. I mean, this is exactly what he wanted to feed his ego. Like, you guys are my minions, and I'll do everything. You just like try not to screw up, you know. And then like kind of ran in and like he's like, if I get in trouble, you can save me, but like otherwise, I'm gonna cover you and beat all the guys and try not to screw up, you know. I was also like slightly shifting the topic. I was also a little disappointed in Earphone Jack. She really didn't do as much as I was expecting. You've kind of built her up as like going to be a big deal to me, and she spent a lot of the time getting in trouble and getting rescued, and then she had that one shot with her ear. But I felt like because that one major ability that she had of reconnaissance, like I felt like after that recon ability, like she was a little bit weak. She's gonna need to learn some techniques to like compensate for her weak combat ability that she doesn't have right now.
She has combat. It's just that the sound. I mean, that sound blast that she had is definitely a lot stronger than it was. I mean, I didn't think it was possible for a heartbeat to resonate so violently and break and break a shield, but it did. It's like I don't know like what like I mean her power is the same as earphone as a present mic, but present mic's got the lung capacity going for him. She's got to worry about her heart. That's what her power is. She's amplifying her heartbeat through her ears.
Why does she have to worry about it?
Well, President Mike has got the vibrations of his voice, but the lungs are just his way of being able to constantly bellow out. A heartbeat, I don't think is as strong as a yell.
Yeah.
So the only real way that she could probably have any real like power behind her heartbeat is if she were to go into cardiac arrest or something like that. That's like what I said. Like, I don't know how powerful a heartbeat. And what I said before, like I wasn't building her, but she's gonna be important later. I don't know how important if she gets later.
You can build up your heartbeat to like 10 times harder than it is. Or at least that's what happens when I see Froppy.
Because I don't know how her heartbeat. As I'm ignoring that statement, but I don't know how much of a like I said, I don't know how much power she could pack behind a heartbeat unless she were to send her heartbeat through something to amplify that on the end.
Right, and I'm pretty sure she doesn't do anything to amplify her heartbeat. I think it's just her regular heartbeat, and then the sound is amplified afterwards. So, I see what you're saying.
I just like the fact that she's a sound hero, and because I didn't think they were going to do anything with her anyway. I forgot all about her.
Yeah, I was just hoping that like maybe she like had some good support equipment or some abilities that she picked up along the way, but she really just got a little bit better with her current abilities. Like, why did she go to school? How is she better than she was 3 seasons ago?
What are you saying? Sorry, I was typing to somebody. What happened?
Like, why did she go to school? Why is she better than she was 3 seasons ago?
Her story was she has 2 things she wanted to do: be a musician or be a hero. Because I don't know why. I don't know what she thought about heroes.
That's not the question I'm asking. I'm saying, why did she bother going to school if this is what it was going to get her? Like, she hasn't. Like, she's not that much better than when she started. She didn't do anything that showed a huge amount of experience. She didn't do anything that showed a huge advancement of her abilities, except for that one shot that she learned. Like, what was the point of her going to school if she was going to come out with like so little development?
I mean, her abilities definitely are a lot better than they were. She could not discern different sounds, which she did in this episode. She couldn't that blast was definitely not on the same par as she had originally. Actually, I don't even think she could. I don't think she could even direct a sound blast at the very beginning of this series.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't think she's capable.
I don't remember very well if she did or not.
I mean, before all she used her ears for was to jack into the ground to discern sound effects. But I remember correctly, she could not discern. But back then, she could not discern the difference between this sound from that sound. so she couldn't tell the difference between somebody running on the ground or somebody tap dancing on the ground. This episode, she said if she concentrates, she could discern which sound, like what's different between each sound, which is a huge jump in her ability. Because I said before, like I said, I mean, unless there's more that she could unless there's more sound in her body that she can redirect, which is quite possible. And like I said before, sound is like a lot more powerful than people give it credit for because it can make you not hear. And I just say like this, the potential for her is very high because her ability, in my opinion, is very powerful. It's just that because the creator hasn't doing much with her, um, she's suffering from the same syndrome that a lot of characters are suffering from. She's suffering with Froppy, Uraka.
What?
She's suffering, not to the same degree, but she's suffering from the same syndrome that a lot of the characters who aren't Deku or Bakugo or Todoroki or even All Might or Endeavor are going through. They're not all that important, so they fall to the background. But her ability is really freaking powerful. That I know for a fact. Just on the basis of sound and how sound works.
From a power perspective, All Might's pretty irrelevant right now. Not gonna lie.
What happened? What about All Might?
From a power perspective, All Might's pretty relevant right now. He doesn't even. When's the last time he did anything really valuable, like give good advice or use his powers for something or do anything other than go jogging that one day?
The guy's a retired guy right now. He's just trying to watch over Deku as Deku gets stronger.
Right, he's just
that's
like
his role right now.
It's just more like what's Master Roshi doing on his island kind of moments. Like it's not.
But you don't see Master Roshi, so I don't know if you can really.
No, but you know, like when in Dragon Ball Z, like every once in a while they just cut to what Master Roshi was doing or something like that, and you'd be like, okay, whatever Master Roshi's doing here is not really going to be plot relevant very much. And he might be like, I see that they're losing the battle, and you'd be like, oh, Master Roshi's probably right, and you'd like take that in, but that would be about all you'd get out of the Roshi scene.
Hello there, big man 578. Didn't expect to see you here. I don't know what they really plan for. I mean, All Might's gonna be doing something at some point. I mean, right now he's been nothing more than a mentor character to Endeavor of all people, and then like being a mentor to Deku. In this episode, he was more just like watching what Bakugo was gonna do, and pretty much shocked him in terms of like, I mean, Bakugo normally wouldn't save people. He'd say save yourself. The fact that he even bothered to get in the way of an attack, and this one, it kind of showed that he is changing to an extent. But like I said before, I don't think they should change Bakugo on a fundamental. If you want to make him nicer, sure, but don't make it seem forced.
Yeah.
But I don't even know if like you should make his character nicer because I mean it worked out for him in the long run. As I said before, he has an effect on people regardless of how he acts. I mean, All Might did say that he probably should be more polite, but I think that's just him and him being a teenager. When people say Goku is the strongest character in Dragon Ball, why don't they say Xeno? That's an interesting question. Completely off topic from what we were talking about, but that's an interesting question. I don't have an answer for you, man, because Xeno doesn't fight. The only thing he's done is destroy an entire universe with doing a fist pump in the air.
When they say the most powerful, they mean the most powerful fighter, not the most powerful character. But Goku's not the most powerful. If you take Super into account, he's not the most powerful fighter either.
Who? Super who?
Dragon Ball Super. If you take Dragon Ball Super into account, he's debatably the most powerful mortal fighter. But even then, I would say that Jiren is probably more powerful still. It's just they took the whole team to kind of take Jiren out. And you'd have to see how that worked, but it'd be pretty big boost in Goku's power to like be able to take Jiren. And then there is Vegeta, who kind of goes back and forth with him throughout Super, where you're not so sure who's the most powerful. And then there's the whole debate of like Goku might be the most powerful, but like then again you have Vegeta like maybe being a little bit less powerful, but with a more reliable ability.
I never really thought that much about in Dragon Ball. I just kind of sat there and enjoyed the ride for the most part. I mean, on a basic power scale from what I've seen, one of the bigger things is like I feel like there's got to be a limit. Before we move back to my hero, but there's got to be a limit to heat. There's got to be a ceiling. Like, nobody, at least in a mortal sense, should be able to climb as high as he has climbed in the power scale. If anything, Bear should have been the limit. And then if there was one to put more characters above him, they should have done that, but made it so that Goku didn't have to fight them.
Aren't there characters in the manga that are stronger?
I mean, that goes without saying. Yes, probably.
Like Granola and stuff like that. And then I'd say it's
Granola. I thought you didn't read the stuff.
I don't, but I've been watching like some of the podcasts and stuff. And then there's stuff like Granola, and then there's also like Broly is probably better than Solo Goku.
I don't know, cause like, well, I mean, he's a Solo Goku. I was trying to think. I don't know, like, cause Gogeta nearly wiped him out. The only thing that stopped that from happening was a wish.
Right. And then there's, of course, the Fuse characters. But I know that usually the
Well, I mean,
good
those
ones...
Fuse characters, unfortunately, they're just gags. They're not really... They're really overpowered because they're a gag. It's the same concept with Akira Toriyama with Ariel, that little girl that nobody could hurt, and they did in that filler episode. But that was kind of true. If you actually look into our comics, she's a gag character, and typically gag characters are ridiculously powerful for no reason, and it's only just for them to be able to withstand things. Like, I think in her comics, Ariel's like been thrown off a cliff. She's been blown up. I think, like, there's been a lot of stuff, but she should not have been able to survive. But she's a robot that was a gag.
Mhm.
So that's the main reason why Goku or Vegeta could not hurt her, even though they should supposedly were stronger than her at that point in the story. But because she was wearing plot gag armor, she could not be hurt for that reason and that reason alone, which is probably stupid. But I mean, hey, from the comics she's coming from, there's no way you can merge those two worlds. Granted, they're supposed to exist in the same world, I think, so I don't know how that works. I think it's kind of the same concept like Bulma's sister, who we all know of, but we have never seen her. Wait, have we seen her? I know Bulma's sister's blonde.
Is this person saying that Bulma's the strongest fighter in Dragon Ball? Because I'm totally on board.
No, I was just talking about, like, I was just going in a tangent.
I think Bulma's the strongest fighter in Dragon Ball. Bulma and Chi-Chi.
Are you only saying that because they managed to tame two Saiyans?
I'm saying because you see how scared everybody acts of them.
Well, I think that's just part of the gag. I mean, with them, I mean, I think even Vegeta has claimed that he doesn't want to see her mad, or sad, and I think that's just the overprotective husband thing with him. I remember crying out loud. All Beerus pimp slapped her and really didn't send her flying too far.
Yeah, Bulma tanked a pimp slap from Beerus, and
but
not even
I don't know if she tanked it. She passed out, but I mean, she didn't get sent too far. But then again, Beerus wasn't really hitting her with
do that. Beerus was like finger flicking Goku to death.
Yeah, but I don't think he sent Goku flying. Like I said, I don't think he was really trying to send people flying.
Bulma's weakness is that she doesn't have a trainer. Could you imagine Ultra Instinct Bulma?
She's not a fighter. Like, I mean, like her gimmick, or not gimmick, but her ability is just being smart. I'm not really trying to entertain an aspect. I mean, if you don't know Bola, that's a different story. But we don't know much about Bola. This is kind of weird. Now, because Bola's a half Saiyan.
All she has to do is like wave her screwdriver like over like Android 17, and he was like twice as powerful. She's
I mean,
basically a techno mage.
I guess I mean I mean, like girls with like I guess her fighting ability, they kept her relevant, funnily enough, just by putting machines into the series, which is really funny. That and Dragon Balls, but it's actually really funny. Chi hasn't been relevant other than popping out Goten. And
Krillin
there
would
goes
beat
his bug zapper again.
Krillin would beat all of My Hero Academia.
I don't know. Like I said, I don't know. Like you can't. I don't think you can combine a world. I don't think you can put a world, put a character from a world where energy is key and you're a trained martial artist into a world where there are heroes running about with these really. I don't know how they even classify quirks in this world. Him and have him running about in there. I feel like there'd be people in there that could like lay him flat out.
There would be the gimmick abilities, like the guy that can take you over if you talk to him. There'd be some gimmick abilities that were dangerous, but the fighters would all go.
Yeah, I don't really know about that. I really don't know about that. I don't try to think about that kind of thing because there's just some logistics that I don't think fit. I don't think you can just throw Krillin into this world. Actually, I don't think you can throw any character into this world that didn't belong in it and it'd work out. I think maybe it's
Why?
just like one of those weird things. I don't think you could. I mean, unless you want to throw Great Sandman in there, but I don't like Great Sandman, so I don't even talking about him. But like I don't know, just something like I think Key and Quirks just work differently.
What about Piccolo? They could put Piccolo in.
Again, Key and Quirks work differently.
Look, stop getting in the way of my Piccolo Froppy fan art. Hello?
Piccolo Frappy fan art.
Stretchy tongue, stretchy limbs, it'd be great. All Piccolo needs is a gender, and we're all set. It doesn't even matter which one. Frogs can change gender.
Funny, I typed both of those names in here, and all I'm getting is Frappy fan art. Like I'm dead serious. Well, there's some Shoto popping up in here. There's some Deku no Raka. Just a lot of lewd images of Frappy. And Jiro's in here. Okay, saw more of her than I should have. Moving on. Back to My Hero Academia. Since you Bakugo really bum rushed through it. I mean, to me, I really enjoyed the episode because it was fun watching Bakugo. And he definitely is stronger than he was when he first. He still didn't win the fight with Deku. Those
Yeah,
first
he
two
is
times he fought
highly
him.
rated. It was interesting to see him outplay Todoroki, too. And Todoroki wasn't doing anything this creative and effective.
Well,
Bakugo would have done just as well against the mud guy, I think.
I don't know why. I feel like what you want from Todoroki is something he can't do, if or at least not yet. Because something like what you want him to do is it has to be in the same vein as Kinesis, and I don't think he's capable of doing that.
No, I just mean that I felt like in this episode, Bakugo clearly set himself up as the number 1 or 2 as opposed to like tied with Todoroki. He just seemed like he did better. He's a little better than Todoroki right now. Might not always be, but I just got the feeling that right now he is.
Yeah, it's good, but I understand because I know you said that you were disappointed with how effective or ineffective he was using his ice ability or even his fire. Look, I don't know. It's just I feel like even with that whole concept from what you wanted, from what it sounds like you wanted him to do, it seemed like he would need to be able to not only project it but also control it as it's coming out. Unless I'm thinking wrong in terms of the type of control you wanted him to show, like the kind of control sound like you wanted him to have had a lot to do with like ice spikes like coming out and then constantly growing in different directions to get to the objective. I don't think he can do that.
You realize Bakugo couldn't fly as well as he did except for his equipment, right?
No, I
It's
don't.
Bakugo's equipment that really helps, gives him the control that he has when he's flying.
No, that's the explosions that he's putting out. I don't think the gauntlets have anything to do with it. If they are, I didn't pick up on this at all when he first talked about the gauntlets. Because the gauntlets are only they're only there to store up his sweat. Because he said he could not do big explosions without hurting himself. So he needed a way to be able to do something that big in a fight. Which is the gauntlets, all they do is just store his sweat. That's all they do. I think it's
Yeah.
I think that's the only support item that he has on him besides the grenades.
Well, what are those pipe things that stick out of his back?
Those were the welding things that the welder guy stuck into him.
Oh, he was just fighting with him there anyway?
Yeah,
Okay.
because those weren't in there. Unless, hold on, let me look up some Bakugo art actually to see maybe if there are pipes in the back of his back now. I don't think there were. Seems kind of weird if that was part of a design he didn't talk about. I mean, granted, he's not much of a talker anyway.
Well, he's got jagged things in his back. Those might just be there for show. He's got like jagged, like artistically like flamey looking things coming out of his back.
You mean that black thing? You mean that black and orange thing that like that was on? I think that was part of his mask, because they were up on his head when his mask was up. I mean, yeah, they're still artistic, but I think those were part of his mask.
Okay. I thought there was something between them, but I can't. I'm watching him walk around right now, and they're not showing him from behind, so it's hard to tell.
Yeah, I mean, trying to look at a still image, but there's not much going on. I see like the things
Oh
on
yeah,
his.
he's from behind now. He doesn't have pipes there at all. All right, so I'm wrong. So the only support equipment he has is the grenade things, then.
And the gauntlets.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, he's also shown that he can do big explosions without the gauntlets too. So that's kind of like the gauntlets are probably I don't want to say a misnomer, but they don't really matter all that much.
They kind of fine tune it, yeah.
He needs them to not hurt himself, but if for half and half, he needs them. And the gauntlets just allow him to give people some of his explosion power, which is actually kind of smart. So far, he's done that twice, so he hasn't forgotten about it. Kind of makes me wonder, maybe he needs to have that girl make him like a rocket launcher or something, so he can just store massive amount of sweat in there. I mean, it'd be dangerous, but I mean, I don't think he cares that much. Apparently, he almost blew up that lizard girl. Which, by the way, I guess we can talk about well, somebody just cursed me out. Uh, before we go here, I want to talk about some of the heroes that he was fighting. Glue Man was weird. Blade Dude was just like a higher tier of that guy with the tiny blades back during the fight with Kirishima.
I thought the glue guy was dumb. He was just a glue guy. He didn't really have much he was doing with his glue.
He could
The dagger guy
control
was
how fast it dries after he lets it out,
yeah.
which sounds disgusting actually, but still.
The lizardy character seemed like the only thing she was really doing, and correct me if I'm wrong, was interfering with Jiren. Well, with ears, right?
Yeah, she was trying to drown out her ability to scout.
Other than that, she was just smart. And then the dagger guy seemed really cool, and I feel like if he had a team of people at his level, he might have been a little more challenging. And then who was the number 4? Couldn't have been that good if I can't remember. But the alchemy, the guy that reminded me of Full Metal Alchemist.
You mean Welder? We saw Welder actually a part of this group was the only person that we saw before, and I'm gonna jog your memory because you probably don't remember where he was from. During
Fullmetal
the
Alchemist?
Bakugo kidnapping arc, he was there with Yaoyorozu.
Oh, really?
He was there for a split second, but he was the one who allowed her to track that Nomu that left.
Okay.
So he welded that
So
device onto him. He was there.
if he had a good team leader, he would have been. He could have done something effective. He was even like a really good like field position. Like this specific arena with all the metal that everything's made out of would have been a great battlefield for him if he had a better team leader to work with. But I feel like their team leader was kind of a weak one compared to the other ones we've seen. And the dagger guy again, like they just used him as like a weapon more than anything. But I feel like he might have been a good reconnaissance kind of character in the right situation. So it's really the glue guy was kind of weak, not terrible, but kind of weak. You know, if Bakugo wasn't there, he would have done much better. And the lizardy character really, if she could do a lot more, then she
I mean,
might have been
I
okay.
think this group was good. I think the only problem was
They
Bakugo.
weren't good.
No, I think they were pretty. I think they were if they didn't have to contend with Bakugo, because that's the problem. They don't. None of them have the ability to counter him. You could make an argument that the Blade dude probably could, but I still don't know if he could have. I mean, yeah, he blocked Bakugo's biggest explosion, but who's to say he could do that again?
The blade dude, it's teamwork though. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about teamwork. Like would have really made that effective for them. If they'd had some like a team that could have come together
Well, I
and
mean, they
like
had a plan. They just stuck to it too hardcore when Bakugo was flying all over the place and breaking every single like strategic position they could have had. I mean, I think even Vlad says that they had a plan. They stuck to it too hardcore. They weren't flexible.
yeah.
Bakugo, in order to fight Bakugo, you need to have a plan that can change, because he's just erratic. They just didn't know how to deal with him, which you can't really blame them, because like I don't know how you deal with a man who's already shown how mobile he is in the air. I think you would have to ground him, but I still don't even think Simadine, I think what his name is or whatever his name was. I don't think he could bond him to the ground. I mean, he could try, but you have to get him when he's like on the ground, which I think the entire fight, Bakugo was not on the ground. I think he was in the air the entire time. I think.
Right.
You would really trick him.
He might have kicked off something at some point, but like I think you're right.
I mean, he stepped off of Jiro to block to get her out of the way so she wouldn't get hit. So he just stepped on her. I mean, on top of that, I mean, he wasn't like always in the air. He was bouncing off of pipes and whatnot. So I guess you could have like planned that he was gonna bounce back and forth. That's how he's able to maneuver so well.
So if we told the blade person, despite your combat ability, your primary goal is going to be to keep Bakugo distracted. And then we said to the alchemist guy, like, you know, the metal bender, basically, your job is to make things crash nonstop so that the people on the ground are distracted. And then they said to the glue guy, like, we need you to hide and pop out when least expected to try to bind Bakugo. And then once you've got Bakugo glued up and the other team is distracted, I'll come in and, I don't know, Lizardy can use whatever actual power she has to fight Bakugo or something like that. Like, but there are things that could have been done that could have pulled the team together as a distraction. Like, not only was that Blade guy a good warrior, but he was also extraordinarily mobile in mid-level of the arena. Like, he couldn't fly beyond the arena, but, like, nobody's going beyond the arena anyway. So in the mid-level, like, he can bounce off anything, apparently, and, like, fly everywhere. So he would have been a great distraction. And being able to collapse the arena on the people below would have been a great distraction, too. And then you have a glue guy that can take Bakugo's ability to fly away. Like, he can blast the webs from a distance, but I'm going to call them webs because that's what he was using them as. But if it hit him dead on, it definitely could have screwed him up. So there are things they could have been doing, you know what I mean, to cause problems. And even Lizardy could have, like, maybe taken bigger chunks over, like, an arm or something and wiggled it to distract Bakugo, so he's striking at, like, random arms and legs and stuff like that, thinking that it's an attacker. So there is strategies that could have been implemented, or like a plan B, like as we saw a lot of the other characters had a plan B strategy that they thought of so that they weren't just stuck with plan A. And I think there was more that could have been happening in this battlefield. I think that their team leader of that other team was really weak compared to other team leaders that we've seen.
I mean, I can see. I just don't know. I feel like, yeah. I mean, I just don't know. Especially like, I mean, you talking about buying Bakugo down. I don't know. You can only distract that man because they were distracting him to an extent, but he was never distracted too long.
Yeah.
So
But
like,
do you see what I mean? Like with like lizard parts, like I mean that's what the idea of lizardy is. Like they lose a tail and the tail twitches and distracts predators. Like literally the whole concept of her ability that she's obviously upgraded since, but like was that, you know, I mean she has the lizard's ability to like drop a tail and wiggle it and that keeps the predator busy. So she could have done that with other stuff too and had a piece of her like going you know, and then he blows it up and she regenerates it. Not ideal, but like it could keep him distracted for a little while shooting his fire at shit while other people come in. The blade guy could have come in and done something too. The glue guy.
I think the blade guy could just cut off his limbs, but that's kind of illegal because they're not trying to kill each other.
The glue guy gets glue on Bakugo, and then the blade guy kicks him into a wall, so he's stuck. Or the alchemist like drops a beam on him after that, so that it's stuck to him, and then he's weighed down, and then his like mobility's gone, which was his big strength. And then they take the fight away from him, so he can't help the rest of his team, and the rest of his team wasn't that great anyway. I don't know. There's just stuff that I mean, and they would have had counters for it, and then everything would have changed. But like, they had ways to at least temporarily turn the battle in their favor with the current skills and abilities they had.
I mean, yeah, I agree about it, but they were trying to. But as I said before, they only had one plan.
Yeah.
I guess as long as so much you can do with one plan. But
yeah, it's just you had Sugar Rush is just big and tough, and what's the name of the earphones person that I really like and I can't think of her name right now?
Jiro,
thank you. I kept wanting to say Jiren. Jiro is basically, without her ability, she has one blast, and then she's a regular fighter, so she's sort of like, I don't know, like the best.
I don't know if she just one blast.
The best one type of blast. The best ability she has the best comparison I can make to her out of universe would be like DC's Black Canary, which is like a different level of hero. You know what I mean? She has a sound blast, and then she's sort of a fighter in hand to hand. Her ability to like hear things is not that useful in a battle. So, and then you have the tape guy, who I think is like really effective and would be a little more of a challenge. Zero.
I thought his hair name was Cyril Fame.
Zero and the Blade guy would have been a good match on one because they both have similar mobility and they seem similarly capable.
I don't know if that's really fair considering he could just cut the tape off and whatnot. I mean, how mobile he is. He could have cut the tape off and made him fall on the ground.
He could have, but he would have had to use himself for that, and Zero can always just make more tape. So, I don't know. Those two would be a fun battle on a straight one-on-one, in my opinion.
I mean, if you say so, I don't know. I just I don't know how fair that fight would be. Because tape can only get you so far. I mean, especially if the person can constantly cut it. It's not like there's a limit to how many blades he can make.
Mm-hmm.
And where they come from in his body. I guess now after the fight's over, you see All Might come up to Bakugo, congratulate him. He acts like he always does.
Chills. I thought that was awesome. He's like, I got chills. And then nobody else had any criticism for the team. They're like, you rocked it, guys. You know.
I mean, Bakugo's like his plan was always the same, to become the #1 hero. That was his goal. He was like, win to save people, which is like what I really loved that phrase. I remember when he first uttered it to Deku when he first became his rival officially, but it was really cool to hear it again here in a situation where he was doing what he said he was gonna do. I think one of the bigger things I like about Bakugo is the fact that like characters like him I say this all the time, and I'll say it to the end of to the one off this earth. Characters like him never get treated this good. Never. Because they're there to be deflated. They're there to be humiliated. They're there to make the main character look good. But in this case, they're not doing that to him. He's still there to make Deku look good. But I mean, he's got his own thing going, and he's there to make himself look good. Like, if anything, I will say, you might disagree with me on this one, but I will say I think one of the good things about Bakugo is the fact that he's a natural born leader. Even with a lot of the problems that he does have mentally, a lot of Bakugo's flaws are really in the way he acts towards people. I want to say that he's probably an extreme introvert, and by that I mean he's probably not the best with people. He hasn't got people skills. A lot of that has a lot to do with the fact of how he was treated growing up. But that's not really his fault. That's really people. That's really adults around him. The only person that seems to even give him what he needs to hear is his mother, who we don't see that much at all in this series. And we see how she acts, so we can see where Bakugo gets his personality from in the first place. Like, she's the only one who actually disciplines him. His father just kind of sits there in the background, does absolutely nothing.
At least it's not Endeavor, though. He must just thank God every single night. Thank you for not having Endeavor be my father.
Endeavor is trying to change. He's not asking for forgiveness. He's just trying to move on and change.
Oh, a wife beater that's trying to change. Isn't that unique?
What wife beaters do you know would try to change? They just keep beating the wife.
No, they're like, come back, take me back, honey, I'll change.
Again, what wife beater do you know actually was trying to change? Like I said before,
No,
they just keep beating the wife.
They just say they're gonna change.
Again, the question still stands. At least he's trying to make an effort, and he's not even going near his wife. Like,
oh, that's good. He's gonna be a much better father that way.
He still sees his children.
What did you do to be a good wife? Well, first of all, I don't go. What do you do to be a good father? Well, first of all, I have nothing to do with my wife. Oh, that's excellent. Okay,
this
you're
woman
up to.
is traumatized. What do you want from him? I guess what I'm like. What do you want from him? What do you want him to do?
I think if he was my dad, he would be doing the exact right thing in that situation. The less he interacts with me, the happier I would be. I just wish he'd be like that with all the kids. And not just the wife, you know?
He's trying to fix the issues that he caused.
Yeah.
I know you don't like characters like that, and I fully understand you at the same time, and it's like, I want to give him the chance, just because, you know, like it looks like he's changing. I want to give people who I believe deserve it the benefit of the doubt. And right now, Endeavor's probably the extreme of that situation based on all the character development they gave him beforehand. But based on what he's doing now, after his fight with that Nomu, he's trying to change, mainly because he sees the damage he's done, and he also realizes he can't really be an effective #1 hero. The way his past is, and he's trying to at least rectify it. He's not asking to be forgiven. He's not asking for people to forgive him. He just wants to move on and change what he's done. So at least the future that they have is a lot better than they currently got right now.
Yeah.
I feel like that is like the most that you could ask of a man who wasn't the best person, the best human being, at least in that universe. And I still kind of think that All Might holds some responsibility for that, because if he wasn't so dang good, this guy wouldn't have literally broken his mind trying to best him. It's the only real reason why Endeavor could not best All Might was the fact that he overheats too fast. Like, if he didn't have that, he probably could have tried to put up a better fight.
Yeah.
And there are ways that he could have done that without involving human life. I admit that. I am fully admitting that there are definitely ways he could have done that without having human life being involved. But I feel
No.
like that's probably that in his mind that was the best way to go about it. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that's why I think I know that's really bad, but at the same time I think he didn't probably wouldn't rely on support items. And who's to say there was a support person out there willing to work with him? It's probably you can't guarantee that there was a support guy who was willing to make him something, or they couldn't think of a way to cool him off. Maybe he generated heat so fast there was nothing on Earth that could cool him off.
You got some really good headcanon.
What?
I didn't say anything.
I'm gonna re-listen to this video again. I'm gonna catch what you said. But so I want to give him the benefit of the doubt. I know you don't want to. I accept that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm gonna carry on and hope that at least there is some change gonna happen.
You sound like a soccer mom explaining why her son actually won, even though the score was wrong. My son, he might have been on the losing team, but he had more goals and assists than anybody else. You see those little legs when he runs. He's the cutest little soccer player on the whole league, and I think he's wonderful. Nobody works as hard as my son to get where he is. He's got star material.
I think you cannot forgive his past, but like, what's the point of having a character who's trying to change if like there's a redemption arc going to happen if he didn't do something bad in his past? For crying out loud, I did not like Vegeta flat period when he first came on this scene, and like I actually have expected to end the series hating that character. It literally took him dying, coming back, saving his children. You know, because I feel like he was just as bad as him. He didn't care about his son. He didn't care about his wife. I don't know why he even had a kid, if I'm being honest. But like, a lot of that just seemed like a random. I feel like Bulma was only picked up so easily because she was on a rebound. I'm sorry to say that about Bulma, but at the same time, I can't think of any reason why she would get in bed with him. Like, she saw how horrible he was. Like, there was so many opportunities that she saw how horrible he was, yet she still got in bed with him.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like Vegeta, you could make the same argument for Vegeta, but he turned around. Now, so again, he didn't hurt Bulma as far as I know. I mean, there's still no proof of that. But I don't even think he hurt her physically. Based on all the scenes that we've seen, like, of those two interacting, which is very little, by the way, I don't think he hurt her physically. Now, mentally, probably, but at the same time, who's to say that she wasn't crazy to begin with? That family has a lot of problems, I don't know.
You're lucky that this podcast isn't more popular than it is.
We're getting a download every day.
There's so many people that, like, would be, like, flipping out on you for, like, being like, maybe it's her fault that she got beaten. Like, he couldn't help it.
I'm not saying, like, but I don't know. I feel like I still stand by. She could have gotten out of the relationship. She was not bound to him. I don't care what you say. She was not bound to him. She was not. She was not.
Yeah. How deep is it?
What?
How deep is that grave you're digging yourself?
I'm about to hit bedrock. Give me a minute. Like, I'm not sitting there saying that. Like, I feel like they were both parties involved in the situation. I don't think this thing we see is as black and white as it looks. Yeah, I'm really just focused on the future of Endeavor. I want to see him change. It sounds like he's trying to change. And I know you don't like him just based on all that you've seen, and like, I mean, there's a lot of people who are like that. But I want to give some hope because he's the only flame-based hero right now. Singular flame-based hero right now. Nobody, not like, he doesn't make explosions like that. He's able to generate and produce flame and control it. He's a pyrokinetic. He's the only pyrokinetic in this entire show at this point. That's what I hate that in shows the fire people get the bad rap. It annoys me so much.
Mm-hmm.
At least Avatar, they gave Zuko a chance. But that was the only show that I've seen that actually had a guy who was using fire, who wasn't a bad guy. I don't understand why, if any, this is a tangent. I don't understand why
Uncle
in any
Iroh.
fantasy situation, people who use fire are necessarily evil. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Uncle Iroh.
Iroh and Zuko are the only examples, and they're both from the same show, for crying out loud. But I don't understand why in every fantasy situation where there's fire involved in the ether, the person using it is evil.
Edom Chronicles.
Who?
Edom Chronicles.
What?
The main character in Edom Chronicles, one of them is a dragon and doesn't know it, and he uses fire.
What the heck is eating? I ain't never heard of this.
It's a cool series. It's only 10 episodes. I like it.
There's still only 2 series. There isn't like there's a lot more that the person using fire is a bad person.
Okay.
They've never in the situation too. Yeah, they did convert them, but they didn't start out good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can make the starting out good for Mako thing, but that's still only like I consider Legend of Korra and Avatar the same series, so it's like still only 2 series. Anytime fire is involved, it's always a bad thing. It's always the mark of the devil. They never attempt to put it on a person who's trying to do good. Yeah, I understand fire burns everything down, but fire is a source of freaking life.
Yeah.
It's like it just annoys me so much that anytime there's a person who's a power kinetic or whatever, they're initially a bad person. I don't understand why they do why don't they do that for water people? Why don't they do that for people it annoys me so much. It really annoys me. It annoys me here too.
Captain Planet.
I'm talking about someone who just controls fire,
Wheeler.
not somebody who's a mixture of different things.
The series Captain Planet, the character Wheeler with the fire ring.
That pollution guy was was literally just one conglomerate thing. He had control over all the stuff. Like there wasn't specifically a Captain Planet that had fire control.
You're saying because he had a fire ring and not natural fire ability, that's why he doesn't count?
You talking about the kid that makes up Captain Planet?
Yeah.
He didn't make fire.
Yes, he did. Wheeler had the ring of fire.
I can't even find him in the thing. What happened here? Where is he?
Earth, fire, wind, water, heart. There were 5 rings. They were all good guys. It doesn't matter which one it was.
There's still only 4 instances, Jock. My point is still being proven. There's not a lot of situations where a fire person is a good guy.
Now you need to come up with 5 instances where a fire person was a bad guy, or it's at least a tie.
Avatar. The firebenders were still evil.
No. Avatar. In Legend of Korra, there are many, many firebenders that are good.
How about this? Evil fire wielders. How about that? I've seen more instances of evil fire wielders than I've seen of good ones.
So you say. I definitely believe that you said that.
See here, at least this is from the Marvel Universe, Mephisto.
Is evil? Alright,
Yep, he's a villain.
Human Torch from the Fantastic Four.
Is he a pyrokinetic?
Yep.
Itachi Uchiha, at the very beginning of the show, he was evil. He had the ability to use fire jutsu.
The X-Men Sunfire.
Was that guy evil?
Nope. And then there's just the DC character called Fire.
He from Yu Yu Hakusho. He started out in the show evil.
Ghost Rider.
Based on Hunter x Hunter, the guy had the ability to use fire, and he was evil. He started out evil.
Alright. I'll give you that one for catching up with me.
I guess I'm just I wish they just stop making, like, it's like when it comes to evil characters, stop using fire as a crutch.
What about Dalsim? Does he count?
Who?
Dalsim from Street Fighter?
The stretchy African dude with the he
Yeah,
just burps fire. I don't think he uses fire. Oh shoot.
Yoda Fire! Yoda Flame!
Let's see. Demo Goblin? I don't know who that guy is. Okay, gotta move on from this song. Wait.
How about Fire Mario?
Why are you're really just reaching here? You know it too because you're laughing.
Because I know I'm getting under your skin.
I know it's not that big of a deal for you, but it truly is a big. Like, fire is probably one of my favorite abilities, period, in terms of fantasy. But I just like every time I see a bad guy and they use fire, I'm like, why? Use something else. Shoot. Stop. Like, stop it. It seems like water is like. I mean, yeah, there are water villains too. But at the same time, I don't see it as much. But crying out loud, I think even Darth Vader could cause fire to pop up in the ether. Like it just
I'm
like.
sure.
Stop
There's, like,
making them evil and then turn them good.
There's literally like a force ability for everything, so I'm sure.
I just wish they stopped doing this. Stop trying to make an evil fire dude and then redeem them later on. It's starting to get stale.
Yeah.
I'm letting Endeavor go with this one, but like, you need to stop that. Fire is not inherently evil. So they did a good job at Avatar with that evil waterbender. I think it was possible considering with the way they made tribes seem like, and you don't necessarily see a bad-natured person. I know it's like later on you start seeing bad-natured waterbenders all over the freaking place. I mean that's how bloodbending came to be. And she did that for revenge purposes, but point still stands.
That
was like that was conceived out of hatred.
Usually, if it's a bad guy and they're a waterbender, or like they have a water-based power, it's ice, not water.
I think is it Pylee? No, Pylee was the fire metal bender, mental firebender.
Yeah.
What was her name? I forgot because she didn't have arms. She was bending with the stubs in her hand, on her shoulders. I forgot her name.
Mm-hmm.
Bending time when she used ice mostly, but.
So, second half of the episode, Now that we're an hour and a half in.
There's not much going on there. We see All Might compliment Bakugo. Deku does the same thing. He acts like he usually does, in his own way, challenging Deku because he's too introverted just to give him a fist bump or say thank you.
What do you think about the fact that Deku's strategy is the opposite of Bakugo's in a way?
I don't think it's any different. He's going in as bait.
Yeah, where Bakugo is like, I'm coming in and I'm just going to take the front and kick the crap out of everything. And Deku is like, I'll be the bait. And like,
I mean, Bakugo's the bait.
The difference is subtle, but it's important because,
Bakugo's strategy was trying to make sure he didn't give them any chance to breathe. He didn't want them thinking. He didn't want them like, I think he knew that they were going to try to, do something, so he just said, we're not going to give him a chance to think.
But Deku is, what I'm talking about here is that Bakugo was like, I'm going to be the star of the show, you're the support, and Deku's immediately setting himself up saying like, alright, for this one, I'm going to be the support character, like, I'm going to just distract everybody while you guys make it happen, you know what I mean? And that was kind of an interesting little juxtaposition there, that like, you know, he's not like, I'm going to lead you idiots, like, you're my minions. He was like, I'm going to be the distraction and take everything, and you guys, you know what I mean? You guys lead the part that's going to feed your ego, you know? It's just the way Deku does things. Like, he always finds a way to, like, bring everybody else's strengths out and make them feel good about themselves, where Bakugo, we have to admit, doesn't quite do that. You know what I mean? I mean, he did it in this case, and that was, like, a big growth point for him, but, like, I don't know, Deku's instinct is to put everybody else in front. You know what I mean? Like, as far as getting credit and getting the good stuff.
But he's the only one that could do anything. I mean, legitimately, I think Uraraka, Ashida even brought up the fact that all they can do is make things float and melt things.
How many times has Deku taken it to the chin for everybody else, you know? In the tournament against Todoroki, like, he was like, you know, he was like, stop holding back, and he like took hits over and over again until Todoroki like really put his all in. When he was fighting the muscular guy, and he was just getting wounded and wounded and wounded, but he was not going to let that other kid take it. He's just over and over again. His core like nature is to like let everybody else like take as much as he can, like tank as much as he can in the name of protecting and helping everybody. So it's just one more example of that, where he's just like, I'm gonna like, I'll take all the damage, I'll take all the threats, I'll take all the danger. You guys do your best, you know what I mean, and like really shine for it, you know. I just think that's kind of cool. That's just very like Deku of him to have that strategy, and it's very Bakugo of him to be like, all right, you idiots, like just cover my ass, like we're gonna do it, you know what I mean? It's gonna be incredible, like no defeat whatsoever. He came through on it and everything, but it's just a very Bakugo approach, and that's an extremely Deku approach. But I thought it was kind of cool that like, in a way, they were kind of mirror images of each other, two sides of the same coin, just like the two of them are.
I get all that. I'm just saying. I'm just thinking, practically speaking, there's nothing. I mean, granted, I will admit that the team they're going against isn't practically anything either, but they still got two trump cards in the form of Momo, who can copy abilities, and granted, I say that hesitantly because I thought the last time he tried copying Deku, it became a blank. So I don't think he was even able to copy Deku, but that was back when Deku wasn't using All for One Throw his entire body. So I don't know if that changes anything, and I don't know if maybe he improved his quirks so he can copy abilities he couldn't copy before. The other three, we don't really know much about them. Even though that one guy with the scouter on his face said that we're all technical types, so it's gonna be really difficult to deal with Deku. They were all gonna leave that with Shinzo.
Yeah.
Who isn't really all strong in his own right, but he has shown that he is adept at learning real quickly, which he kind of has to.
What we're gonna need to see from him though is that now that everybody knows his big trick and everybody knows his new trick, like, how is he gonna make anyone like work around it like in a realistic way? Like,
I
All right, we
mean,
know that like
here's the thing. Like now they know it, they're gonna be paranoid, so they're not gonna be listening to anybody. So in a real advantage, that kind of works to his advantage. If nobody trusts anybody, they won't be listening out for anybody's commands. The only way you could know is somebody says, "I didn't say that," but it might be too late because like your brain receives things quicker than well, your mouth says something quicker than your brain receives it. So you might say yes before someone says, "I didn't say that,"
yeah,
and he's got to find a way. I mean, yeah, I understand you're talking about like he has two tricks up his sleeve. One of them being the mask, because he needs to be able to trick people into saying yes, because he's well aware of that. People know that they just need to respond to him for him to take control.
hmm
But that could easily be circumvented at some point. Like, if he could learn a way to force his will. I think what really for him, he's gonna have to give in to the villain side of his quirk for him to be able to use his quirk effectively. And by villain side, I mean I think he's gotta find a way to force his will upon somebody versus them verbally saying yes. That's kind of like what his quirk does is he has to say something and then they have to respond back. If he can force a way to take control of somebody's brain, like somehow with sound waves, maybe going to their ear and their brain receives it, there's I think there's ways to make somebody forcibly say yes to something. But right now, because he's new to this and he's trying to get into the hero course right now, he's probably not thinking that far ahead.
yeah,
So that mask was just an easy way to circumvent. He realizes that people, if they didn't know if it was him, that they might respond to me, which is true that worked in the first round. But like Shinso's got to work that binding cloud. What I think is really what's going to happen. That binding cloud's going to be his trump card because like yeah, I mean his quirk is virtually really powerful in the mental aspect, but he needs to be able to use that binding clutch. By the way, I was watching other people react to this episode, and that point when you saw Shinzo pull down that pipe out of that stupid slamming it on top of the Beastman's head. Somebody brought imagine how strong he would have to be able to yank that off of there. I think a lot of that binding clutch has a lot to do with his own physical ability.
yeah.
He might actually be stronger now physically than he was back then.
Do you think that the guy that copies talents is going to be a big threat with this if he copies that guy's ability?
Possibly. I don't know like what his copy ability initially does. Like, if anything, they could do is they could just have Momo hiding off in the distance somewhere with that quirk copied, and if they'll hear something in the distance and if they don't know who it is and they can't see, they might respond to him. You never know. There's probably ways to use him and use it in a tactful way. I believe that Momo just can't be seen. If he does, that is going to break the illusion.
Mm-hmm.
So in real life, he'd be useful if he can stay hidden. But judging with how his personality is, I highly doubt he'll stay hidden.
Yeah.
Granted, this episode he showed that he had a different side, and what he was doing was just showing that our path is just as right as their path. Like we shouldn't be judged any less because we haven't been in a confrontation with a villain, which he isn't wrong. He's actually really right. I think he said something about like last time, like a character who's doing like annoying things, but for the right reason. He's that he's saying that why should they get all the spotlight when we're just as good as they are. The only reason that we're distinguished is because there were too many people to put in one class. Because they're all technically class one. It's just that there's too many of them in the hero course. I guess something to bring up to bring to mind too is that these are one class. They came in together and they'll graduate together. So like, there's gonna be a lot of new heroes popping out of this. I mean, if anything, I really do think Momo might be a threat. Probably not in a way we're thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't know like what he did to improve his quirk. He seems like he's modest and he just saying that he's not all that special. But for a guy who's been yapping his mouth the entire time, I hope he's done something different with his quirk. It's like, yeah, I don't know. I feel like he might be, because like I don't know what the other three can do. One's got a scouter. One looks like she's got a ice power, but I don't think that's what she has. She might have some kind of ghosty power or whatever. I don't really know.
I got a ghost power vibe from her.
She's probably like a ghost power or something going on. And I don't know the other girl with the who looked like a race type. I don't know. I don't know what she was actually. I don't know what clothing she was wearing. It was very weird. She seemed kind of out of. She seemed kind of in the back. You didn't really see her, so she might be surprising.
Yeah, they all. I don't know. It seems like other than Deku, like I mean, they're almost making fun of themselves with Grape and everything. I have a feeling the Acid Lady is going to do a lot better than we think. I have a lot of faith in her, like shining in this one. I don't know if you think that's nuts or not, but I have.
I hope you're right. I mean, I'm not that big of a fan of Ashido. Not saying she's a bad character. I'm
Mhm.
just not that big of a fan of her. I mean, her quirk just melts things. It's like that's about it. She can make acid rain. She's shown
Doesn't she
very
kind of like
useless to
roller
her
skate on
ability. Huh?
it? Doesn't she kind of roller skate on it?
She uses the acid to slide on it as a liquid. So yeah, because her skin is the only thing that the acid won't melt.
Yeah. Plus, I'm sure she can knock things down, like which will be useful.
But I don't know if she can do controlled demolition, which is what she would need to do. Granted, she has shown that she can shoot the acid in a straight line, so she probably could do controlled demolition.
It's actually a really good arena for Grape and Uraraka too. If you
I
really think
hope
about it, it's a
I understand all
relatively
that.
weak team in an open field, but like with this arena, like and all the interesting things that it entails, Grape can do a lot of like sticking around and setting up traps, and she can do a lot of mobility things and causing things to collapse down. Uraraka can get them up there in the first place. You know what I mean with levitation. Maybe even levitate some things that are collapsing as a defensive move. There's actually a lot of potential in this group with this field. So as long as they're
I just
creative,
want her to do a new move, or at least have the Comet home run come back, because that was my favorite move of hers. I just laughed so hard. She took that pillar and just used it as a baseball bat and swung debris at Bakugo. If they do that, I'll at least be happy, because she's been doing nothing but sit in the background. It
yeah.
disappoints me because I've been seeing things in the as I guess the show as the manga is running down. There's something going on with Bakugo and her. I mean, not Bakugo. Something going on with who's Bakugo and her. Jeez, I hate that I've seen. There's a lot of people really wanting Bakugo and Uraraka to get together. I'm against that, but I can see it working, but I'm against it. But there's something going on with dang, I keep saying Bakugo with Deku and Uraraka. There might be a romance brewing. So I guess at least that. Again, that worries me because if they do these things to these female characters, they don't, and it upsets me. Stop making them love interests. If you can't do anything with them, get them out of the spotlight. Stop using them. They were doing so well with her. And if I could rant about Froppy real quick, I know you joke around.
Okay.
I know you joke around, but it does really upset me that she is so well balanced, but her quirk has not evolved. It hasn't evolved, and there were things I was expecting, like maybe her being able to shoot like poison darts. Because I mean, she could become a poison dart frog.
Mm-hmm.
They're really dangerous. Actually, I think the poison dart frogs are the most dangerous amphibian in the world. Next to the other one, I think is also just dangerous. Like that mucus could evolve into poison. Well, you know, not real poison, but you get what I'm talking about. Like, I'm disappointed that of all the characters that have changed and evolved their quirk, hers has stayed the same. And it's because and I hate the fact that at the very beginning of the series, she was shown to be this really well balanced character. She was in tune with her emotions. She knew what was going on, and she's been. I think the problem is that she hasn't gone down, but she hasn't gone up in usability either. She stayed in the middle. Like, she's playing that middle road really harshly, and it's kind of annoying considering that of all the frogs that exist in the world, you think her quirk would have evolved to a point to emulate another frog, but it hasn't. I think she's just emulating the tree frog. I think that's all she's emulating.
Yeah, it seems like it.
She's got invisibility, which I don't think the tree frog. I think it's kind of a camouflage. She's blending in with the surrounding. But like, I feel like that's kind of disappointing. There's so many frog types out there that her quirk could evolve and emulate, but it just hasn't, for a lack of any real reason. Her saying she's never stated that she's reached the epitome of her quirk. Her quirk can't get any better than this. She's never said that. I feel like she's like, I mean, as much as you joke around with her being Piccolo, is like, I guess, kind of. At this point, she's played the middle of the road. Is what Piccolo's doing. He's not getting better, but he's not getting worse. Well, I mean, you can make the argument because he's talking about his arms falling off, but we don't talk about that. Piccolo's played the middle of the ground. I know as much as you joked around, like, if you really look at Froppy, she's very... Of all the female characters, she's the most annoying to watch based on the fact that, well, I know about frogs. So it really does annoy me. I know you joke around with her being your favorite character, but it really does annoy me. I don't know how you feel, but like, it's like, there's some potential for her that, like, they gave her own episode. They give her all these compliments, and that's it. That's about it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, why? Why? Can I get that GIF? Why?
She's a good class A.
I mean, that's the she's balanced. That's what they kept on saying, and they kept on. They're hanging in with it. They're hanging in with it. She's really balanced. She can go anywhere. There's a point where I thought she'd only be a good support hero, but based on this, how she's performed here, I don't think she just could be a good support hero. She could be a good combat hero too, if the situation called for it. Because actually, when she kicked that beast dude, that was a really strong kick. So it was one of those things, like, she could do some damage if she really needed to.
I gotta tell you, you're making me so happy with this dialogue.
I'm gonna make you upset now because I'm ending the dialogue now.
What?
All joking aside, next episode is gonna be Deku's fight with this group, with the other guy, with the other Class B, and that's the final fight of this arc that they're doing. So we're gonna see what's gonna end up there. And I guess as we are closing in at an hour and 30 minutes, we're gonna talk real quick, but also in real detail with Shaman King's episodes 3 and 4.
Can you get me the link to those real quick? I have it on my laptop, but not my desktop. I like to play them in silent mode. Thank you.
And that link can also click to episode 4 from there as well.
That's a lot of work. I'll probably just Google it after I'm done.
I can just give it to you. Don't worry.
Dude, I'm kidding. Calm down.
What? I got it. It's done.
Relax your jack.
It's in the chat.
Jesus.
You started this. I ended it.
You did indeed.
I think in episode 3, from what I remember, we pretty much, well, not remember, I'm looking at it right now, but pretty much we ended the last episode with Yo in the hospital, and Anna, this chick that is supposed to be his fiance, ends up walking in, and since we see the dynamic of these two, and later on in the episode we see that apparently her ability is that she can pull spirits from the dead, like she can pull them from heaven, apparently, or wherever they are, and she can force them into her fiance Yo's body.
Yeah.
Apparently, she comes from a very strong She comes from a very, I guess, like her bloodline is really strong. So I guess she's really strong. But I guess another thing too is that she's playing off this from the era that this anime is from. She's playing that whole like tsundere type of chick. She's really rude to people, except for the guy that she likes. But I mean, she's kind of rude to him here too.
Like the redhead from Neon Genesis.
I'm gonna agree because I have not seen that.
Oh, okay.
I'm aware of the anime, but I never watched it.
And she's like a sassy or aggressive redheaded female character.
I think aren't all redheads sassy? Moving on.
Wow.
I think I just said something very controversial. I think I just got us. I think we just lost the 2 followers we had.
I think possibly.
They're both redheads. Moving on. Essentially this episode 3 is we see them working their differences out. We find out apparently Yo didn't agree to this marriage. Surprise, surprise. We also find out apparently the Shaman King is essentially the president of the entire world. This was detail lost in translation a long time ago. This was never ever stated that if I can remember. I didn't know the Shaman King was like the president, and her goal was to become the first lady. So that kind of feeds into her whole selfishness right there. But she's probably got some good reasoning behind it. Like characters like this, that we always see that they have good reasoning behind everything they're doing. I have the feeling she probably does really love Yo, but she has a hard. This is her way of showing it. But apparently also Yo was being trained by her, which is why he ended up running away from her. She's like a very messed up version of Chi-Chi.
Yeah, but she is like a big time like stereotype.
Well, I mean, yeah, like, she's a middle school girl. Of course, she's a big old stereotype.
Yeah, I mean, just a super. I mean, you could have called her Launch without the blue-haired version.
You know, I think I'd buy that more than Chi-Chi.
I'm just saying.
I guess you can compare her to 18 too, if you really wanted to.
And 18. Actually, 18's better than Launch even.
Here we're doing this live, folks. We're one-upping ourselves accidentally.
But the point is that she's a very common trope in anime. So.
Yeah, basically she's called a tsundere. She's a very extreme tsundere. And for anybody who doesn't know what that term is, it's a character who has problems showing their emotions to people that they like or their friends, so they're just mean or rude to them on purpose. They outgrow this when they get older, but this is how they are right now. But we cut to after they go from school, after Yo was running away from her because apparently she trained him so hard he's got bandages all over his body. We cut to them being going to a movie with I want to say he's a Jackie Chan ripoff, but I'm pretty sure there's somebody else that he's more comparable to than Jackie Chan. I'm just drawing a blank. I want to say Jet Li, but doesn't Jet Li fight with swords?
No, there was a guy that Jackie Chan fought that he actually did. No, the Bruce Lee fought that he actually did remind me of.
I guess it's more Bruce Lee because he does use nunchucks.
No. There's a guy. Hang on. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
The American boxer?
Yeah, I'll show you. I'm going to link you to the fight scene in Discord.
I thought Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was a basketball player.
Just look at the fight scene. It's a really good fight scene, too. Kareem the first minute or two of the fight scene, he fights Bruce Lee while sitting in a chair.
Yeah, he just sat down. That's a tall man.
Yeah, look how much taller he is than Bruce Lee.
Jeez, just put his foot in his chest. He's not eating. He's not. Oh, that's a dirty foot. Ew. Man, this man has nothing but legs. I forgot how lanky he is. Jeez, he just made him dirty all the freaking place. A dirty foot, and now his face is all dirty.
I like that he learned to fight sitting down to make up for his height a little bit.
I'm guessing Kareem asked for this. There's no way that I think Jackie Chan would have fought him normally.
That's Bruce Lee.
I mean, dang it, Bruce Lee. Like, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I think Kareem asked for this.
Well, I mean, Bruce Lee. It's a Bruce Lee movie, so Bruce Lee has to win. But you know, he beats Chuck Norris in a fight too in another movie. But it's still a cool like concept to have them fighting like that.
Okay, well, back to the episode at hand.
But anyway, do you see the similarity between the way that guy is drawn and the guy from the Shaman King, especially around the hair, like that sculpted hair look, and being like really tall compared to the others and everything.
No, I would compare him more to Bruce Lee, but that's just me. I'm not really seeing the similarity all that much. Maybe because he's how tall he is, maybe, but other than that.
And like the fact that his hair is like kind of a bubble.
When we get to that guy, we get introduced to another female character, Ren's older sister. Now, I had to look her up because I forgot who she was, but I remembered how she looked. This is probably as hot as women are going to get in this show, so I'm glad we achieved this by episode 3. I think. I could be wrong. But I think this is as legally hot as women could get in this show. But I have a crush on her back in the day when I first watched this, because she looked the same actually. Just the only thing, they kind of updated her look a little bit. But
Oh, you had a crush on her.
Moving on. But
you wanted to googly her moogly.
Well, I mean, if you're staying on topic, this just brought out the biggest chest in the show.
Jeez.
I could be wrong actually, but this show doesn't really do that many very obviously sexual characters. I think she's probably the closest you can get. Which I guess that's a good safe marker, because she isn't all that sexually attractive, but you know. But she's Ren's older sister. And her abilities have to deal with turning dead bodies into zombies.
Okay.
So we have that going for us here. She took the dead actor's corpse and then stuffed the soul into that corpse and pretty much controls him using these talismans that she has on her thigh. I wish I was making that up. But she stuffs them in this, like, I guess it's like leg thigh bracelet that she has on her. So you got that. So you got that. But since we have like Yo fighting him and losing, mainly because he can't fight his idol because he doesn't want to hurt the body. As Yo is, he likes to befriend spirits versus like turn them into tools, which we on Ren's sister doesn't view souls like that. Well, not until the end of the episode, when her opinion completely changes after getting smacked by Yo's fiance. I want to say that's probably the fastest turnaround I've ever seen a character achieve in any anime. So we got that going for us. I assume she's going to be on friendly terms with them now, because this after being released from his imprisonment, he wants to hang around with her still. I forgot why, but he wants to hang out. He wants to hang around still.
I'm trying to remember why myself. I remember just sort of being sort of vaguely surprised. I was like, okay, you're gonna hang around. It was like something like making it all right or joining her mission. He was inspired by her mission or something.
I'm actually at the end of the episode right now, just trying to remember what it is. Anna's talking about how she's inspired by him, and he's like he's gonna be my future husband, is what she says, and then she's walking off.
Mm-hmm.
His master's about to say, let's go to rest in peace," but he can't yet. He wants to still pursue his dream of perfecting that martial art. So that's one of the goals he's got.
It's just weird to do it with her.
And he's speaking to her now. Veterinary services as a corpse puppet. Um, well, apparently he's just to do that. He's gonna just stay her puppet.
It just
I guess he can't. I guess he can't stay.
It didn't seem like a particularly good reason. I know you were hoping I would chime in with that. It just looked forced. It looked like they needed to move the plot along, so they just had him do it.
I mean, like a lot of that was forced, but I think what it came down to, I think I don't think spirits can stay in the. Well, I say this, but I think last time we reviewed these episodes, I said there was no stereotypical ghost roles. So
Yeah.
I don't know if the ghost role, they have ghost roles here that make it so that, because shaman's supposed to send spirits to the afterlife, but there's no real reasoning for it. They just don't want them lingering in the real world, I guess. I guess before we move on to episode 5, wait, are we episode? Yeah, episode 4. I want to, I guess, deviate back to the middle of the episode. But this way?
I mean, do you want to talk about the significance of this at all? Like, what's going on here?
I don't know what significance you're talking about. I mean,
Well, the shaman thing, the main character summons that guy's master. So you see him like able to get a hold of ghosts that aren't necessarily ones he's taken over, and then to join forces with him, right? That seems like an ability.
He didn't summon that. That was his girlfriend, and she forced him into him.
But he was able to use it. That was sort of an interesting ability, don't you think?
No, not in the world. I mean, they also established in this world too. There's all kinds of shamans, and this is gonna be a big old fight in Tokyo. So I suspect that all shamans are just that easily taken over. I mean, he does mention that in his training, he's trying to make it easier for Amidamaru to occupy his body without it hurting him.
Uh-huh.
So I guess you can make some significance out of that. That maybe Yo's just a lot more easier to take over now than he was before.
Right.
So I mean, any significance I would talk about is like how like Yo has this. I mean, it's a stereotypical main character trait. He can change people's hearts just by talking to them. And this is one of those situations where somebody related to Ren, he was able to change their heart. So it's possible that he might be able to change Ren's way of thinking.
Yeah, he
I
definitely
get, even though it was forced.
He definitely considers his like mission in life to fix people, and that everybody seems to be good in his eyes. You know, everybody's good, and I'm going to be here to make people happy and fix things, and that's all I'm going to do. He seems very trusting. He seems very much like willing to have faith in everybody and think that everybody's going to be okay.
I mean, well, the main thing he says in the first episode is that his grandfather told him that if somebody can talk with spirits, they're not necessarily a bad person. Like, he doesn't believe that there are bad people in the world that can speak to the ghosts, which is a really naive thing to think.
But so far, it's... I mean, we've got one character that it's probably not going to be correct for, but other than that one character, he's proving it right so far.
I mean, yeah, he's proven right, but I'm pretty sure that's going to fall. It's gonna that worldview is going to shatter.
Yeah, I think so.
After like he finds the person that he can't turn.
Or that's the premise he's going to chase through the series, and one of the dramas is going to be to find out if he's right or not.
guess. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if Yo's all that deep. Then again, you give
Well,
it
I'm
everything
just
he is, just based on the fact that he doesn't appear to be all that deep on the surface.
I mean, obviously, coming out of a conversation about Dragon Ball Z and a conversation about My Hero Academia, we see the same trait demonstrated in both of those. Goku's ability to change people for the better, and same with Midoriya. And he seems to be following that general theory. Like Goku, I mean, looks at some people and says, "No, they're just bad guys." But you still see him like Goku constantly giving them another chance. Like even Frieza, hey Frieza, thanks for the energy, And Frieza like has to constantly explain to Goku, "No, I was doing it with bad intentions, you moron, you stupid monkey." Like, you know what I mean? He's like, "Oh no, you're just really great. I really appreciate you like healing me with your energy." And he goes, "No, it's because you're my minion."
I like to point out that the
And
entire Dragon Ball Z community was pissed off at everything he was doing. By the way, just gonna point that out.
I thought it was really smart. I thought it was like a pride thing that Frieza was like now we're even, so you can't ever gloat about that again. Which is what I was thinking, and I was also thinking that Frieza was being savvy and saying, "Here's my energy. I think you're going to do better." And like at one time, he was like saying, like we're square. Like you can never hold this over my head. And then another thing that he was doing, I thought, was like kind of like jumping in and saying like, "Hang on a sec."
I don't know. I feel like
He was
here's my
jumping in, secretly thinking, "You're going to use this energy better than I am. Why don't you go use my energy and get your ass kicked with it instead of me using it less effectively and getting my ass kicked instead?" So I thought there was like an ends to the means there, where there was like a practical side to it, but there was also he was getting double for his investment.
I don't know. You make fun of me, and me trying to fit Endeavor. I feel like this is your Endeavor in terms of Frieza. I don't know. It just like to me, it's like I'm not
I don't know.
saying I'm not saying you think that he's gonna get it. I'm not saying that you think he's gonna get redeemed because he is far from that. And you asked me before, do you think he's gonna replace Piccolo? I still highly doubt that.
I'm saying that he is like. I'm saying that Frieza is like Goku just can't help but give Frieza more chances. It's like every time he sees Frieza, he's ready to. Every time he sees Frieza, he's ready to like give him the chance to be a great guy again. I'm not saying that he's ever going. I'm just saying that Goku just can't help but give him more chances.
When he shouldn't. But I would say I think one of the I mean a lot of people don't seem to forget this, but I think it was during his first fight with Frieza. Well, the fight where he turned Super Saiyan. No, actually, no. It was before he turned Super Saiyan. I think he commented on how strong Frieza was, and that it was a waste because he could really get some good training out of him. Like Goku has stated over and over again that Frieza would be a good sparring partner. Like regardless of like how he is, which is really stupid by the way, because Frieza doesn't want nothing to do with him, and I don't even think Frieza giving him that energy I feel like it was more self-preservation. Like I will agree that he probably did it so he didn't have to get beat over and over again.
But he didn't want to admit it, so his excuse was, "Well, now we're even." I'm not saying that Frieza's ever going to be. I don't think Frieza's going to necessarily become a good character. I wouldn't call it completely out of the question. But I think
completely out of the question.
More than likely, Frieza's not going to become a good guy. But you see in their first battle, you see Goku try to save him from killing himself with the destructive discs. You see Goku giving him some of his own energy. You see that moment where he's like, "It's done now, like go and never like bother Earth again," and like tries to like give Frieza that chance to like come out with that, and that doesn't work. And you just see a lot of these moments where that happen, and then Frieza comes to Earth in his mecha form, and Goku hangs out in the thing and says, "Oh, I just want to see what would happen," and he was in there. He was watching the thing the whole time, but he didn't rush ahead or anything to stop anything. You see him fighting, like you just see like over and over and over again, there's a constant theme of Goku. I'm not saying the plot is suggesting he'll become a good character, but I'm saying Goku always wanting to give him one more try. Always. And you see that with this, and you see that in My Hero Academia, that Midoriya is always trying to believe in people if he possibly can. Midoriya is more willing to believe that they're bad guys that need to be taken down, but you see him always trying to like believe in Bakugo. Like, no matter how many times Bakugo bullies him, he's like, I think there's something in there. You see it with him and some of the other characters too. Like, they're just always believing in them. And his ability to believe in others is like one of the big draws of his character. But here you see, to a lesser extent, you see it in this show that like he wants to believe in some of the bad guys too. You know what I mean? The main character. And that seems to be one of his things. His fundamental driving force, one of them is that, and it might even be why he's so calm as a character, because, I mean, it would be very, like, to think that there's nothing but good guys out of there must be a very, like, relaxing way to see the world, you know?
Well,
Thinking that, like, there's only
him
good
as a
guys
kid.
and mistakes, there's no bad guys, you know?
I mean, him as a kid. I mean, his whole. I think the reason he's calm is just because he's so laid back and laxed. Anyway, I think also another thing too is that I think in this other episode 5, if we jump to that, I think he mentions that he listens to music as a way to calm himself, so it makes it easier for him to be taken over. And he's constantly trying to improve at the rate at which he can be taken over.
Yeah.
Because he does realize, even though he doesn't believe what Rin says about spirits, he gets very upset when people call spirits tools. As you see this in both instances.
Right.
Rin calls a Minamaru a tool. Yo doesn't have any of it. Rin's older sister, who I forgot her name, I don't think we even mentioned it. Dang it.
Her name is Dang It?
Dang it. What was Rin's last name? I forgot her name. I knew it earlier. I completely forgot her name.
Can we just call her Dang It until we find her real name?
I'm doing so right now as I'm looking for her real name.
Excellent.
What's her name? Dang it. That wasn't. Actually, that wasn't even on purpose there. I accidentally just said that. Oh, okay, I see her introducing her. She should be introducing herself. Why isn't it? Who are you? Her name is June. Okay, yeah, her name is June. June Tao. But
Okay.
he sees it with June Tao, and she calls her zombie a her tool, and she calls Amidamaru a tool, and she's here to take Amidamaru for her brother. But he gets really upset. Like, he may be calm and collected, but it seems like he really does value ghosts as friends, which is interesting in a world where people don't really believe in ghosts. But whatever. But he seems to get really upset when people insult ghosts, especially with Minamaru. But he really does take offense to it whenever people call anybody a ghost, a tool. It's very interesting. He also doesn't seem that interested in getting any more guardian ghosts. He seems fine with the one he picked. So he must see something that we're not seeing right now.
Uh-huh.
But I mean, yeah, he's very calm and collected. I mean, like I said, he comes from an era where main characters are typically like that. Goku is a big example of that. But yeah, he seems to be really in tap with the spiritual forces. He doesn't like when his friends get insulted, which he does value friends. For crying out loud, the first episode that he meets Manta, like they don't speak much, but at the next day he calls him a friend, and it's like that's a sudden thing to call somebody you don't know. And you see also he also has an effect on people too. Manta was a scaredy cat in his episode. Was it this episode that he rode to get that sword? Yeah, he goes to get Yo a sword so he can fight and integrate with Amidamaru better. I guess we also see a limit towards what Amidamaru can do with or without something that can act like a sword. Apparently he can't use a pipe. I thought he could, but maybe he can't. So we learned that. I guess we come episode 5. The next episode we get introduced to another ghost who now we see the real first instance of a ghost that has some ill intent. We also see that when he has like this black aura around him. So that's something else. But I guess like what is it? What's his name? The guy who he possesses? I forgot his name. Like Ryu the Sword. Yeah, Ryu the Sword. We see that we also get some development with him too, showing that he's not that actually bad of a guy. We're just kind of interesting. We're finding this out now. I mean, he's probably gonna be important for something later.
Yeah.
And he's like looking. I guess the goal here is he's looking for the best place to hang out with his friends. We see here that apparently Rin walks in to take the spot that he wanted to call his clubhouse, and I guess he's going to try fighting him. Rin, as what they do in this show, is just cut off this man's pompadour. That hair keeps getting just dismantled. I feel bad for him at some points.
So when I was talking about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, this is the guy I was talking about. Were you talking about somebody else?
Yeah, I was talking about something else. I was talking about the zombie that she was taking, that June was her guardian.
I'm very sorry. This is the guy I said reminded me of Kareem.
Kareem doesn't have a pompadour though.
He doesn't, but this guy doesn't have a pompadour for very long either.
Man, it feels like he's still a pompadour. He just cuts short. I can see some of the similarities. That he's tall, he's very eccentric, but move that out of there. Yeah, but it's pretty evident that they're gonna do something with him in the future because he gets possessed in this episode. Apparently, he also has a crush on Anna, which makes me wonder how old is he.
Yeah.
Because this show kind of has this kind of a problem.
Problem? Why a problem with what, Jeremy?
He's got full facial hair. Like it kind of feels uncomfortable. I mean, he gets rejected pretty easily, by her. So there's that. It seems like she has a heart set on Yo. We also find that apparently that those two have been living together in an abandoned house. Mm-hmm. Well, not abandoned, quote unquote. They got a good deal on it because there's ghosts all over it.
Can we circle back for a second and have a serious conversation?
About what?
What is inside that man's pompadour? Is it like a ham?
I think it's just hair. I think it's just his hair. They just colored it differently.
It's on the other side and vaguely the shape of a heart. But, like, it is the most messed up pompadour I think ever I will see. It's like a heart-shaped ham surrounded in hair. That's what it looks like to me.
I think it's just his hair.
I'm pretty sure it's a ham.
I think it's just his hair.
It's a ham.
It's his hair.
Leave your vote in the comments.
People are gonna agree with you just to mess with me.
I know they are.
I know it's gonna happen.
My idea is much more fun than yours.
I think at one point there is a ham in his hair, but that it isn't there now.
It's not black. It's not hairy.
So isn't hams.
Scientifically, the least likely answer for something that doesn't look like hair, doesn't act like hair, and isn't consistent with the hair around it.
This entire man's hair head doesn't act like hair.
It's not hair.
It's hair.
It's ham.
It's a freaking pompadour. This man grooms his pompadour. He puts so much gel in his hair that he just makes it shaped like that. That's probably hair gel. If you want to make an argument about it not being
it's
hair.
Definitely, whatever it is, it's not hair. And if you think it's hair, there's something wrong with you. What if it's an extension of his head? Maybe like if he shaved, you'd find that he doesn't have a pompadour at all, but he has like a very odd-shaped head.
He would be bleeding out of that part of his head.
What if it was a tumor and it just didn't have any blood in it? It was just like this bloodless, calcified.
There'll be still something oozing out of it.
Maybe it's a callus.
There'll be something oozing out of it.
Disgusting callus that's been developing on his head, and it's a giant mass of like gooey, dead, mutated skin, and they cut a piece of it off, and he tries to cover it up by making it look like
oozing. It's his hair.
It doesn't have to ooze if you cut a callus off.
It's a design choice that they decided to do.
It's a terrible design choice. It's not scientific. The scientists believe me, and the scientists do not believe you.
The scientists don't believe in spirits. They wouldn't be watching this show.
We're not talking about spirits. We're talking about hair that's pink and
They
solid
wouldn't go
underneath.
near this show. They would not go near a show called Shaman King.
Black on the outside. It's pink on the inside. It's not hair.
It's his hair. It's anime
No.
hair. There are a lot of
No.
shows that have characters with a pompadour that long and defying the laws of gravity.
But when you cut them open, they're not pink inside. Maybe he has a conjoined twin.
Why do you believe that's his flesh? There is no way that they don't color. That's bad job of coloring if that is part of his head.
It's a conjoined twin.
That's a
Gotta be.
bad coloring. That's a bad coloring job. Like they should not be They should not be coloring. They even call it a pompadour.
It's a piece of wood.
Before we get copyrighted for a Sonic the Hedgehog song.
I don't know what it is, but it's not hair.
They call it his hair. They call it it's his pompadour. He keeps on saying it. You can't cut through skin like that. You cannot cut through skin like that. You cannot. It takes a serrated edge.
Like anime characters never lie.
No, they don't lie. But like, listen,
Especially the ones that go hang out at graveyard and beat anyone up that shows up in their graveyard. I'm sure somebody
there's
like
no
that
way
would...
you could cut through skin as easy as they done with that guy.
Isn't it, reasonably speaking, there's no way you cut through hair like that either.
No, I don't think hair's all that thick.
This hair is awfully thick. It's pink on the inside.
Moving on, I don't got time to talk about this hair situation.
I just wanted to make sure that we actually discuss this because it's absurd. And it's wrong to have flesh, like, underneath your hair in a weird dome.
Have you seen anime people's hair? Like, we're kind of like, they're like, a lot of these girls with long hair, you see the underside of their hair, it's white. There is no physical way your hair should be that color. It's a design choice.
Well, at least with females, you can be like, well, maybe she dyed it.
You make the argument guided here. Moving on, this episode, we're gonna be here all night if we talk about this hair.
Nobody can see it. Why would he dye the inside of his hair pink? Why would his hair be pink and he just dyed it black? None of these things make sense.
Why are you so why do you think it's a tumor? That doesn't make any sense. He should be in the hospital.
Look,
You know, you're
you're
walking
the
around with a giant tumor on your face.
If you can't get over Hermes, I can't get over his hair.
That is not the same thing.
Oh, it's totally the same thing.
No, it's not.
Oh, it totally is. They're not explaining why his hair is pink. And, like, the consistency of, like, cotton candy or something on the inside. It's like pillow. It's like foam on the inside, and it's shaped like a heart. And the little piece that came off is also pink on the inside.
Don't you think they're just making dick jokes? Because, I mean, in serious, that's really what it comes down. That's really what that is. It's a dick joke.
There's not a dick joke showing up anywhere in my mind right now. It's not.
That is a dick joke.
It
Like,
doesn't.
only characters that tall, that insecure, have a hair that long in front of their face.
I haven't, honestly, dick joke did not cross my mind even once.
Moving on, because we're gonna be here all night talking about this hair. We keep talking about this, but moving on from the hair that Jock has apparently a problem with,
Hermes.
which is the as a robot with sentience. I was trying to avoid this.
It's hair with flesh.
I had dropped it months ago. You brought this up. This is a
it's
robot
sentient hair.
with sentience.
It's
There's
sentient
nothing else
hair.
in this universe. There's nothing in that universe that is sentient like that. It knows where it is. It's able to hold conversations.
It's a conjoined twin that's growing on his head that gets sliced up routinely.
Okay, moving on. Gonna be here all night, as I keep on saying. But sorry. Music that might get us copyrighted just started playing.
Do you want me to sing something?
No, we're good. But
sure?
we continue this episode. Yeah, we're good. We continue this episode off. Ryu Hayabusa, Hairman, gets possessed by a evil spirit who wants to get revenge on Minamaru because he came around from the same time period as Minamaru, and he's trying to take revenge on the Minamaru because he killed him, and he didn't get a chance to, continue to be a bandit, which seems very low on the totem pole. Apparently, when he was alive, he was also known as the Lizard Man, so that's also so interesting too. But continuing the same vein that Yo can talk to people and have them change their heart, he does this here too, but he does it in a more forceful way. He lets him possesses him, and in the act of possessing him, frees his spirit of all the regret that he had when he was after dying. This seems also very weird. I don't know much more to say about that, actually. I mean, he ends up fighting Minamaru with his own sword, so I guess that's interesting. He's a swordsman who's capable of fighting Minamaru.
Okay.
Minamaru is said to be this like very powerful spirit, well, swordsman back in the day.
I mean, they seem like they're just building up the ability of his main ghost for being really effective. It just seems like that's what they're doing there.
I mean, at some point, I think we're gonna have to get an energy bar level thing, but they're not doing it yet. But I guess another thing, yeah, this kind of really builds up Yo's whole like, no, there's no such thing as an evil person who can talk to ghosts. Because by the way, I'm gonna bring up that Ryo could see that ghost. So we have another non-shaman able to see ghosts.
That's a good point. The plot line of this series doesn't seem like it takes itself 100% seriously.
I think it takes itself seriously. I mean, the freaking show started out dark, and apparently the original idea of this show was it was supposed to be a dark show. But the original.
Like when the guy runs in and he's like, "Oh, like I got shaman powers overnight," like it's just like, your magic gave me shaman powers and awoke them. Like, it's just a little bit ridiculous. Like,
well, I mean, you don't watch enough anime where that is kind of the thing. A lot of times, the main character will actually awake powers of other characters that they didn't know they had. I think a good example of this is a show called Bleach, and ironically, it's another spirit show. But there's the main occupation in that show is Shinigami, people who take ghost spirits to the afterlife. One of the things in that show is that the main character Ichigo, his friends are near him enough during his fights with Hollow that they start taking in some of the spiritual power that he's letting out because he doesn't have any control over it, and essentially effectively awakens their own spiritual powers later on.
Right.
So this is a common thing that happens where, if you're friends with this person, you're probably going to be involved in the fight at some point. So this is a common trope that not many people complain too much about. But it is a common trope. And Minamaru and Yo do attain another level of complete merging. Which is also showing that, Yo is getting stronger. Albeit at a very slow pace, but he is getting stronger. And at the end of the episode, as you skip over, because they pretty much solve the issue with the evil ghost. He makes him his friend.
Oh, they're friends now.
Well, they are friends at this point. I don't care what he says. We see Rin at the end, looking all Vegeta-like, saying that, okay, it looks like I'm gonna end it this time. And take his ghost, and I was like, you're really hard to convince that he wants to be your friend, aren't you?
No, he definitely wants to be friends.
I mean, it'd be funny. I mean, like he just like, I want to be your friend. Stop fooling around, and he fuses with Basson and kills him.
No, they probably do want to be friends.
I think Yo wants to be his friend. I don't think Ren wants to be his friend.
I think Ren is a good friend. I think, like, you saw his friends come around and, like, support him and say, like, you've always been there for me. So, I think, like... I don't know. I think he probably...
I'm talking about the Chinese kid.
Oh, no, he doesn't want to be his friend.
Who do you think I was talking about?
Ren?
Ren is the Chinese kid. Ryu's the guy you compare to. Ryu's the
My
one
bad.
that you complain about his hairstyle.
It's going to be about 20 more episodes before I know what's going on with names.
That side was real, by the way. Just,
I know it was.
I'm just gonna. I think I'm gonna be sighing the entirety talking about this show with you. I do this to myself. I know you're bad with names, but I do this to myself.
I'm really into this show.
But I guess with that, like, I mean, there's not much to talk about here. We're trying to like cram 3 episodes into 1 episode, so we're doing a good job so far.
We're doing a really good job.
So next time we're going to just be talking about My Hero again, because we're doing this one-off, 1 episode, 3 episodes a week type of thing. So next time we'll be talking about strictly just My Hero Academia, and probably complaining more about the lack of Froppy in it. And that's where I'm ending it. See you guys later.
Froppy!